Welcome to today's video. I'm going to go through something as my own journey. How do you find somebody that can help you get to where you want to go as far as a practitioner? And I'll go through a little bit of my history. I was looking for a long time to find, answers that were leveraged, and it took me more than one try. And what I found is going into, people talk to me a lot about, what do you think of this modality? And what do you think of this modality? And my answers are always the same. And this just helps me set my expectation through life and not be frustrated all the time. But what I found out through life is there's three categories that I put any person in that's in the marketplace whatsoever. Server at your restaurant, whatever. If you go someplace and it's service oriented, you're going to get somebody, and I call it the middle 80%. Most of the time you're going to find somebody who is doing as little as they can get away with doing and not get fired. This was most of high school. What do I need to do to get a passing grade? How little effort can I put into this? I don't want to be here. All of my body language is telling everybody else I would rather be someplace else. I don't care much about this, but I'm here. Okay, so if you show up and you get this kind of person, welcome to the club. 80% of your experiences in the marketplace, if you go through it, will probably end in this category. We also have the bottom 10%. This is when people should not be in the industry that they're in. If they're not a people person, they shouldn't be in front of people. They should be in the back room dealing with tasks or paperwork or something else, and vice versa. Or you can tell when there's nepotism involved or whatever other form of corruption, or they just cheated and lied to get to where they are. If somebody goes and sees this person, they tend to want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They go, I saw this practitioner and they were terrible, and therefore I'm going to throw that whole modality out for the rest of my life. I saw a mechanic, and mechanic, tried to overcharge me, and he said they replaced parts and they didn't, and whatever it is. Every industry has the bottom 10%. What I want to talk about today is, what does the top 10% look like? So the top 10% in any field are there because they have passion. So I can tell you that when you're in the presence of somebody that has passion, you can tell that they care and that they are willing to be in this club. I ask people quite often if they want to have an outstanding life. So I'm in Minnesota. We have a big mall called the Mall of America. You run into the Mall of America, you grab 100 people and you say, who wants to have an outstanding life? And I expect 95% of the hands to go up. And then, kind of built into the question, who's willing to stand out? And then you just see 80% or 90% of the hands go down. And it's like, well, we have to stand out. You have to be doing something different to be outstanding. And when you're in the top 10%, you realize that you're always learning something new, because there's always more to know. And there's always things that, you get stuck with, and then I'm looking for answers. Like, one of my desires all the time is, when I find something new, I'm like, oh gosh, I want to go back to some of the people that I, worked with in the past and let them know, hey, I've got new tools in the toolbox. We can get some more stuff done. So the top 10% are finding what works, and quite often they're a consumer first. You know, I've been getting body work done at least on a weekly basis in the modality that I teach and practice with for 19 years and counting. And I plan to get up work done more. And I also know that what I do is not the only thing that's good out there. I see so many people get stuck with the one thing syndrome. What is the one thing that I need to learn or know, or the one therapist that can help me? And I found that no one should want to be in the pressure of the one thing. There's no one thing that is good. There's no only one thing is good and the rest is not good, or comparison is a major trap that people get stuck in. Now, if I could say what all these modalities have in common, I'm going to talk about the top 1% and how you get into the top 1%. And then when you find somebody that's in the top 1% or the top 10%, this is where you want to just go wherever they are. You know, this middle 80 survives based on convenience and price. It's like, if you see a middle 80 person and you spend $100, you'll probably walk away feeling like you got somewhere between $20 and $80 worth of result. Now, if you get $80 worth of result for your $100, you might not go in and openly complain, but you're not excited to go back. Does that make sense? If you went to the bottom 10% and you spent $100, you feel like you lost $1,000. It's like, it is now worse, noticeably worse. Never go here. It's like, yeah, well, don't go to that person. Don't throw that modality out because you found somebody that's not doing it well. So when you're in the top 1%, you realize that you're not the only good, and that you're not going to do everything. So I love all kinds of modalities. I look at things and I say, am I going to study that to put it in my own toolbox, or am I just going to refer people to that? And a top 1%, if they see low-hanging fruit, what is low-hanging fruit? If we are in the triangle of health, and we have chemistry, structure, and mindset, over here, there's tons of options for you. You walk in the door of somebody that's a top 10% or top 1%, and let's say that what they do is over here, and out of a 10, you're an 8 out of 10. You're doing pretty good. But in another area, they'll recognize right away, it's like, oh, over here, you're a 3. You might need to go get some blood work done and go deal with some chemistry. So I'm going to refer you out the door. Even though you came in here to talk to me, the thing that I'm going to cover, you're doing pretty well in, but there's another place to go look. And after you get that addressed, maybe come back. And it takes confidence and a desire to do good to go, point this stuff out. Being in the industry for a long time, I see a lot of people that are very, guarded over what they're doing, as if, they have to compare it to what you're doing. And if what you're doing is good and working, then they're like, well, maybe I should be doing that. It's like, no, you should always just be caring and learning and finding something new and adding to, because if you have something that is good, all good is good and all great is great. And all that's excellent is excellent. And we want to be, the Bible says, he who has many counselors is wise. So, you never want to have one person try to do everything that you can do, because nobody's great at everything. Now, what I've found is that I had to guard myself against when I had a vision of where I wanted to go. I had 9 shoulder dislocations in my right shoulder, and I like to play basketball. I have kids that I want to play with. And I had seen people go get procedures where they got, surgery. They put screws or pins in the shoulder, and they could lift their arm to like right here. And I'm like, my jump shot, I'm fading back and it's here. My release point is up here. I'm like, I am not going to live the rest of my life with my arm only coming up to here just because I'm afraid of the dislocation pain. And then I would see people and I would be getting help and we'd be making progress, and then we'd be plateauing out. And I can remember having to guard my vision where I would hear things like, well, with your history and all the things that have happened, you might not get a full recovery. And I'm like, what you're trying to say is, of the tools that you have in your toolbox, you don't see a path forward. So I need to go find somebody that has some tools that this person might not know about. And I'm not expecting that person to know everything. And I'm very thankful for what they did help me do. But as soon as I guarded my vision of this is the outcome that I want, this is the path that I'm on, we move the direction we face. And we face the direction we think about. So I am facing a direction where, I want to do handstand push-ups, and I want to use my shoulder as a demonstration of outstanding strength. I'm 50 years old and I can do some stuff with my shoulder that, I couldn't do probably in my 20s, and I'm planning to get better. But I had to guard that vision. So often the horizon, is the image of the life that you want. So we move the direction that we face, and we face the direction that we think about. So as I have a picture of the life I want to have, or how I want my body to work, there's going to be things that are in harmony with it, and there's going to be things that were in harmony and are no longer in harmony. And I need to look out into the distance and see where I want to be. And then every once in a while, I have to look down to see where I am and what the next step is. So I can remember very distinctly saying, I am not going to settle. There's got to be something else out there. And then inevitably, somebody goes, have you ever heard about, something comes into my radar, and I go, no, I never heard of that. And then I go explore it, and guess what it is? It's the next thing that's going to help move things forward. So hopefully this is helpful if you're looking for support. God put 8 billion people on the planet so that we can help each other. And trying to do everything by ourselves, we can get weary in well doing. And not everybody is going to be a fanatic and want to learn everything there is to know about stuff. But the fun thing is that somebody is. You know, I'm off in the night doing weird stuff, you know, compared to the average person, because I am digging in this vein called what does it take to make the body work while other people are sleeping or, you know, doing something else. So I have thousands of hours into things that I expect the average person to not really care about, except for what can I do to get towards my goal. You don't have to know everything that a practitioner knows to know how to do what they tell you to do or suggest for you to do. So this has helped me go into the marketplace and just, you know, maintain my sanity and try to help these people, you know, be inspired. I hope that you pursue being in the top 10% or top 1% in something. You were put here to be outstanding and have greatness is available to you. Try not to settle for this and look out for these people. But every modality, and I'll leave, you know, with this thought. Every modality, if I boil it down to two elements, it's focused intention. So I'm going to be very present right here, right now, trying to move towards this goal. And every good practitioner is going to have a focused intention. And what tools they have in their toolbox will be specific to them. And if you find good ones, mark it down and start feeding these people. And, you know, life is better when we get to share good things. And hopefully this has been a blessing for you, as it was for me to learn these lessons. And onward and upward. And we'll see you in the next video.